The opening round of the 1994 Middle East Rally Championship was the Jordan Rally, and as ever, people were expecting Mohammed Ben Sulayem to come home as the winner. Based in Oman, the rally had drawn a tremendous entry, and Ben Sulayem, now having given up his World Rally Championship quest, was aiming to try and take another domestic title. His Ford Escort Cosworth was first away, although he was being pushed hard on the opening day by the Toyota Celica, driven by his great rival Sheikh Sohail bil Khalifa Al Maktoum. There were Lancias involved as well. Andreas Tuloftus was well up in contention earlier on, while in the Formula 2 battle, number 10, the Opel Astra, driven by Freddie Loire, was expected to do well. As the rally wore on, Al Maktoum established himself in the lead, with only Ben Sulayem for opposition. On the very dusty stages, the Ford Escort Cosworth, backed by the United Arab Emirates Army, was able to revel in the conditions, driven by Ben Sulayem. He knew the roads well, he was determined to score a win. They were all being pushed very hard indeed by Khalifa Al-Moutawi, and he was working his way up through the field to take over third place. Abdullah Bakashab went into fourth and the lead of the Group N category for showroom specification cars, while there were dramas for Richie Holfeld, the Irishman. 3 driveshaft failures on Thursday evening was the first problem, and then the scrutineer noticed his car was running oversized tyres and he was excluded. All that promoted the Ford Sierra Cosworth of Bashar Bustami up into 5th place, and he was eager to try and move up further if he could. Time for service. Time for the mechanics to try and prepare the cars once again, ready for the next set of demanding stages. The battle between the Fords and the Toyotas was expected to continue, although early on the second element of the rally, there were dramas for the Toyota teams. First of all, Khalifa Al Maktoum retired, and he was quickly joined on the retirement list by Rashid bin Ghurab, whose Toyota succumbed to front suspension failure. It all meant that Ben Sulayem led and had a very commanding advantage. He was still being chased in second place by Khalifa Al-Moutawi, co-driven by Dave Nicholson, with the surviving GT4 in Group A, while third overall and leading Group N, Abdullah Bakashab had his Celica going exceptionally well. Up to the finish round as winners of the Jordan Rally of 1994 came Mohammed Ben Sulayem, co-driven by Philip Mills. The Ford Escort Cosworth had once again proved to be the all-conquering car in the Middle East, but the Toyota teams are still able to push Ben Sulayem hard. Al-Moutawi took second ahead of Bakashab third, and for the second round of the championship, it was time for the teams to head to Qatar. Once again, much was expected of the Ford Escort Cosworths, but they knew that Toyota, having had disappointments in Jordan, would fight back. Mohammed Ben Sulayem would be the first of the drivers away with the Ford Escort Cosworth, co-driven on this occasion by Ronan Morgan. Second away was the Toyota Celica GT4, Nasser Al-Atawi the driver, as he was flagged off into the stages. Starting third, Michel Salah, co-driven by Mubarak Al-Hajri. In picturesque surroundings, Ben Sulayem was in fine form over the opening tests. A Ford Escort Cosworth early establishing itself in the lead. As the event wore on, however, he'd have trouble with the rear suspension, and that all promoted Sheikh Sohail Khalifa Al Maktoum up into the lead. Opposition was coming from Abdullah Al Qasami with the Mitsubishi Galant, and also from the Gulf Oils Escort, driven on this occasion by Ahmed Al Sabam. Jeff Watt, co-driven by Ben Coles, had his MG Maestro going well, while the Group N contest was being headed by Abdullah Bakashab, co-driven here by Bobby Willis. Behind them came British drivers Graham Middleton and Duncan McIntosh with another Toyota, but none of them could do anything about the flying Ben Sulayem. Still, Khalifa Al-Moutawi was pushing him hard, and Bakashab was able to hang on to the lead of Group N. An airborne Rashid bin Ghurab, who retired in Jordan, was eager to make up for disappointments here, and he was working his way well up through the leaderboard. Ben Sulayem onto the final day as the event leader. Opposition coming now from Nasser Khalifa Al-Atawi in second place, and also from the number 5 Toyota, driven by Sohail Al Maktoum. Welcome variety from the Peugeot 205 number 21, a little breathless in comparison with some of the more powerful cars, but Simon Nutter, the driver, still in contention. Ben Sulayem, determined to hang onto the lead, set off into the night stages with the Escort Cosworth. He was having to work very hard now to fend off the Toyota. Suhail Khalifa Al Maktoum, the driver, in second place and really wanting a win here. Damage had been done to some of their cars over the tremendously rough and bumpy stages, but the teams were all determined that they could get to the finish in one piece. Rashid bin Gurhab with his damaged Toyota setting off. Still, plenty of teams needed service, and there were many enthusiastic spectators on hand to lend support. In Group N, Abdullah Bakashab had had a turn of luck, having survived a string of mishaps with his Group N specification Toyota, and there were plenty of weary crews all waiting for the final stages. Ben Sulayem with the Escort was still able, just for the time being at least, to fend off the Toyota of Al Maktoum, but it was a very close battle. Up into third now had come bin Gurhab with his Toyota Celica, while Bakashab was just able to keep the lead of Group M. The Gulf Escort of Ahmed Al Sabah was dropping down through the field now, but some of the most spectacular driving was coming from Al Maktoum and Bakashab with their Toyotas. It was all working for Al Maktoum as he went into the lead at the expense of the suspension-troubled Escort of Ben Sulayem and took victory in the 1994 Qatar Rally. Ben Sulayem finished just under a couple of minutes behind him in second place with the Escort, with Rashid bin Gurhab taking third ahead of Al Mutawa, with Richie Holfeld fifth and Abdullah Bakashab completing the top six.